You told someone your plan, and the moment you did, it started dying. Not slowly, right then, in that room. You felt it. The energy shifted. Maybe they smiled, but their eyes didn't. Maybe they asked a question that sounded supportive, but landed like a doubt. Maybe they said nothing, and that nothing was louder than anything they could have said. And you walked away from that conversation a little smaller than you walked in. That's happened to you more than once. You know it has. Here's what nobody tells you about the people in your life. The ones closest to you, the ones who answer your calls, who show up, who say they want the best for you, they have a version of you locked in their head, a specific one, the version they've always known, the version they're comfortable with. And the second you start moving beyond that version, something in them pushes back. Not with cruelty, not with obvious sabotage, with questions, with concern, with "Are you sure about this?" delivered in a tone that sounds like caring but functions like doubt. That's not betrayal. That's just what happens when your growth makes someone else's stillness visible, but it still slows you down. Most people think their biggest threats are out there somewhere. A competitor, a rival, someone who wants what they have. But the truth, the one that actually stings, is that the people who slow you down the most don't even know they're doing it. They're sitting across from you at dinner. They're the ones who texted you this morning, and you keep handing them the blueprint. That's not their fault. That's yours. Here's the thing about telling people your plans too early. You're not just sharing an idea. You're creating a jury, a group of people who don't have enough information to actually evaluate what you're building, but will evaluate it anyway, right there, in real time, with a look, a pause, a and their verdict doesn't stay in the room. It follows you home, gets inside your head, starts sounding like your own voice. 2 days later, you're second-guessing something you were completely certain about, and you can't even trace why. You think the doubt is yours. It isn't. You picked it up from a conversation you didn't need to have. That's not feedback. That's contamination. Actually, let me be more specific, because there's something happening underneath all of this that most people never catch. When you tell someone your goal before it's real, before it's done, your brain does something strange. It registers the social moment as partial progress, the nods, the reaction, the acknowledgement that you're doing something. And the part of you that was hungry for that feeling, it gets a small taste of it, and then the urgency drops. You talked about the thing. Part of you now thinks you did something about it. You didn't. You just spent the energy that was supposed to go into the actual work on a conversation that made you feel better for about 40 minutes. That's the trade you keep making. Comfort now, cost later. Now here's where it gets darker. Most of the people discouraging you, they're not doing it on purpose, but there's a smaller group, quieter, and they are doing it on purpose. They just aren't fully aware that they are. These are the people whose relationship with you depends on a specific dynamic. You being uncertain, you needing their opinion, you being at a level where they still feel relevant to your life. And when you start moving past that level, they don't sit down and decide to undermine you. It's not that calculated, but they start asking the pointed questions, bringing up that time something didn't work, framing your focus as arrogance, framing your silence as you being distant, cold, changed. Not because they want you to fall, because your rise restructures something for them, and they liked the old structure. That's not love, that's positioning, and you've been mistaking one for the other for a long time. So what does the silent architect actually do differently? It's not what most people assume. It's not isolation, not coldness, not cutting everyone off and going full lone wolf. That's not the move. The move is simpler. It's a distinction most people never make. Loyalty and access are not the same thing. Someone can genuinely love you and still not be the right audience for your unfinished plans. Those two things don't cancel each other out. A person can be good, really good, and still be exactly the wrong person to tell right now. Protecting your plan from someone isn't betrayal, it's just precision. Because there's a phase in every build, every goal, every real ambition, where the idea is still fragile, still early, still the kind of thing that one wrong conversation can crack. The architect knows that phase, protects it, not from everyone forever, just from everyone who doesn't need to be there yet. But here's the trap, the one almost nobody escapes. You can understand everything I just said, completely, clearly, and still go home tonight and tell someone. Because this isn't a logic problem. The pull to talk isn't about needing advice, it's about loneliness. Building in silence is genuinely hard. There are days where the plan feels insane and you need someone, anyone, to tell you it doesn't. And in that moment you reach for the phone. You find the nearest person who cares about you and you tell them the whole thing. And for a few hours you feel better. And then you spend the next 3 days managing their reaction instead of executing your plan. You didn't want input, you wanted relief. You got it, and it cost you something you didn't see yet. The architect doesn't get rid of that loneliness. They learn to work inside it. That's the actual skill, not the strategy, the tolerance. There's a certain kind of person you've probably encountered once or twice in your life. Someone who seems calm in a way that's almost unsettling. They don't rush to tell you what they're working on. They don't fish for your reaction. They smile when you ask how things are going, and they say good, and somehow you know that good is covering something significant. And then 3 months later, something in their life has completely changed. A business, a move, a decision, something real, already done. And you realize they were building the whole time, right next to you. You just couldn't see it because they didn't show you. That's not mystery for the sake of mystery. That's someone who understands that the most dangerous window in any build is the early one. The one where outside opinion can still reshape your internal belief. They close that window, not forever, just long enough. Look, I know what this sounds like. Just don't talk to anyone. Be alone. Suffer in silence. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there are two kinds of loneliness. One where you share everything too soon, get quietly drained by people who mean well, let the plan collapse and spend years wondering what happened. And one where you stay quiet long enough to build something real and then show it to the world when it no longer needs anyone's approval to survive. One of those hurts on the way in, the other hurts forever. So here's where I'll leave you. Think about your actual goal, not the one you say out loud to sound ambitious, the real one, the one that feels almost too big to say. Now think about who knows about it, not just who you've told, who knows the real size of it, the audacity of it, the version you haven't softened for anyone yet. And ask yourself honestly, did telling them move you forward, or did it just make you feel less alone for a night? Because the people who actually build things, the ones who can look back at something real and feel something that doesn't need to be explained, almost all of them went through a phase where nobody knew, where the plan lived only in them, where they protected it like it was the most fragile thing they owned, because it was. The question isn't whether there are people around you who'd slow you down if they knew. There are. There always are. The question is, why do you keep telling them?